when you drop down, it could be that it's just because you're coping with a particular moment and that you'll move through it and no longer need the behaviour. On the other hand, there is a group of people who get stuck. Age regression typically you'll see often in a child, so it's really actually a normal coping behaviour for a child when they experience a significant event or they're particularly traumatised by something, that they will drop back to behaviours that they have done when they're at a younger age as they're working to cope with what has occurred or changed. It also, though, happens in adults. So at times we'll see certain coping behaviours in an adult that is of a regressed age. So examples are cuddling a stuffed toy, tantrums, all of your thumb sucking, any kind of baby talk is another one. So there's all these sorts of behaviours that people can do as an adult as an age regression behaviour, and it's a form of coping.
So you're using words like common and normal. Do we know exactly how common and normal it is?
We do, in the sense that we see it, but in terms of how common, there is no prevalence data. Because it's not associated with a particular diagnosis, we don't know how frequently it occurs in the general population.
It seems like it is, a very particular set of behaviour. Do you think we could see it included in the DSM and kind of move towards being like a formally recognised diagnosis in the future?
I think from a psychology standpoint, we see it as a mechanism of coping rather than that it's a diagnostic set of symptoms, and it runs across multiple diagnoses. So we would see it in some of your dissociative disorders, we would see it in a lot of the anxiety disorders, and certainly personality disorders, just to name a few. So we would see it as too common to too many different conditions to make it a singular item in itself.
Do people tend to grow out of it?
So in terms of growing out of it for children, absolutely. It is a normal part of your growing up that you would regress at times, and it will just be a stage that you'll go through, and you'll move out of that stage as you age, and also as you cope with whatever the change has been and adjust to it. As an adult, it becomes a different thing. So when you drop down, it could be that it's just because you're coping with a particular moment and that you'll move through it and no longer need the behaviour. On the other hand, there is a group of people who get stuck, which is where you are struggling to cope with it and your main mechanism of coping is the age regressed behaviour. And then it would be about working through that situation rather than just reaching for the one coping tool you've been using. And it can be a signal of significant distress.